something to the timer on my phone, but whatever. Hey, what's up, you guys? My name's Amy Heatley, and I'm just going to give you some context of why the Phil invited a random engineering student here. Yeah, I'm a STEM student, by the way. Despite the overgrown bangs, the quinoa was in my breakfast this morning, and the fact I wore edgy double denim twice this week. Unlike my 7 flatmates, 4 of which are over here tonight, and they're very excited to meet Harry Hogan after. I do not study politics or philosophy or anything like that, and I'm usually politically and generally quite complacent as a person. The previous extent of my political engagement was my raging feminist days when I was 16 years old, sharing ill-informed gender pay gap statistics on social media, saying, wow, I'm changing the world. One Facebook post at a time. Propositions Becky was just about the only person in the room that knew me back then, and all I can say is I'm very sorry. It all changed when I went to a public talk hosted by Kieran, the opposition's opening speaker tonight, and I became one of the growing number of people who were shown, one, just how dire the climate and ecological crisis is, how badly we need to solve it as soon as possible, and how we need as many people as possible, and thirdly, how else exactly we have the best chance of succeeding in the movement. So I joined the movement and created an affinity group within college because I was terrified and inspired. Because this is the biggest, the most complex, and the most urgent issue that humanity has probably ever faced. When I heard I was going to be the final speaker, I had 3 thoughts. It's much too late to fill in these 7 minutes just defining things. 2, Kieran's going to say all the Extinction Rebellion stuff for me, so I actually have to come up with some original research here. And 3, some rebuttal is expected, and I don't really debate, so you know what? I'll give it a shot, and we'll see. First, there was lots of talk about the civil resistance model, and it was challenged as being 6 steps, pretty difficult to uphold. But the first step was that you need the numbers. That's what we're all here for. This is going to be the basis of my speech. 2, you have to go to the capital city, easy enough. 3, you got to break the law, that's a basis. I think that's a given for this debate. 4 is nonviolence. That is this entire debate. 5, that it has to go on day after day. That is absolutely necessary, and as discussed by Kieran. And 6, last but least, it has to be fun. And I can say from the fact that an entire day of Rebellion Week last week, my entire job was just standing on that big pink boat trying to make the Gardaí laugh by dancing to songs. It's not difficult. It's really not. Other than that, though, so it's already been discussed why violent direct action is ethically bad, and how non-violent civil disobedience works. And it is effective. So I just kind of want to back up that, I suppose, and also discuss specifically why violence doesn't work. First, I do want to define one thing. The difference between violence and terrorism. So firstly, that violence is extreme force. It's physical force. That's fine. Terrorism, in the context of violence, or well, just generally really, is the deliberate commission of said violence, resulting in the suffering of victims, resulting in an emotional response, resulting in the furtherance of a social or political agenda. So when I'm discussing violence for the rest of my speech, I'm discussing it in the context of the fact that terrorism is the commission of violence to further an agenda. Let's talk about Greenpeace. Have you heard of Paul Watson? Paul Watson claims to be one of the founding members of Greenpeace, and claims that Greenpeace has rewritten their history to write him out. He engaged in a lot of violent, definitely arguably terrorist actions, like scuttling, a boat that was illegally killing seals or whales or something. I'm not gonna lie, I can't remember. And but then killing all the people on board that boat. It was completely against Greenpeace actions and general agenda, I guess, of Greenpeace. And on the committee of 12 people, which he was on for Greenpeace, he was voted out 11-1, the one being him. Greenpeace has been fighting and just making money moves about the whole environment thing 2.5 times longer than I've been alive. No, thank you. What was my point now? About Greenpeace. Yeah, so it's a well-established organisation, Greenpeace. And their kind of whole thing is we love the earth, we love animals, we love humanity, and we want to keep it all alive. But having a murderer in their ranks doesn't really match that, does it? Mass cross-community involvement. Kieran spoke a bit about this. So it's already been discussed. The sociological research that Extinction Rebellion is based off talks a lot about the 3.5% rule. If 3.5% of the population are involved, actively involved in the movement, then every time it's going to succeed. And the thing about nonviolence is that it opens it up to everybody. It's not just the young, able-bodied man. The opposition already discussed that violence isn't effective, and even if the proposition's point was right that it does get things done, if it's killing people, if it's harming people, it's destructing things, it's going to make people angry, and it's going to make people less willing to be involved in the movement. Why is that bad? Empathy. People don't empathise with killings, they don't empathise with causing suffering or just generally being controversial. If we want this to make this open to everybody and get the numbers, we need to keep it uncontroversial. We can't afford to not have as many people on this as possible. The core of Exor's philosophy is non-violent direct action. Did you guys see everything happening in London and stuff? We're living in the digital age. Striking messages on media, on social media, is really the most effective thing. And if you saw police pepper spraying people, hosing down these massive fire truck hoses on people, arresting people, yeah, that's really striking. But even more striking, there was no violence. There was a deafeningly quiet resistance. I should so be an art student. On Thursday in Ireland, 5 brave people locked themselves with bicycle locks by their necks to the gates of the Dáil. And it stopped politicians from driving out. Driving out, not getting out. If we stopped them from getting out, it would be a hostage situation and that could be taken as terrorism. But they could still walk out. We were just stopping their cars, not them. So they decided they couldn't walk out and face the truth. So at the same time, while there were no serious offences against the state that those 5 people could be charged with, they were still conveying a message that you probably saw on Facebook to the government and to the public. Non-violence is not just the best way to make this rebellion work, it's the only way. Ryan, do you consider yourself a young, able-bodied man?
Yeah.
See, if we had enough Ryans, it would be fine, but that's just not the case. This rebellion is not just for the able-bodied man. It's for parents and grandparents, students and teachers, nurses and baristas, farmers and academics, politicians and musicians, but it's also for those who can't afford to be arrested, are visibly or invisibly disabled, can't engage in violence for not worrying about their actions affecting parents, their job security, or their kids. It's for refugees, for immigrants, and it's for children just beginning to learn how badly this is going to affect them. There is only power in numbers, and those numbers need to include all of us. Thank you.